Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on a
Hi.
Saturday morning. I'm sure we have some viewers from maybe Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, and it's quite early there. So thanks for joining us. So today we have our three speakers here already: Abu, Jaslyn, and Dr. Pu Manhong. Yeah, so I guess we'll get started. So we have Jaslyn here with us from Developer Space, and yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining us for round 2 of Google I/O Extended KL. If you are tuning in from Pakistan, it must be really early for you. I think it's 7 a.m. We hope you are keeping safe and well wherever you are tuning in from. And I'm Jiaxing from the Google Developer Relations team. Before we begin today's session, just wanted to briefly introduce what Google Developer Space is about. So we have a physical office, we have a physical space in the Google Singapore office, but due to COVID, we moved everything online. So that's how we started our YouTube channels, and we are also on Facebook and Twitter, so do follow us there as well. And we are a platform for developers and startups from around the region to learn and connect with one another. And we are really excited for the awesome speakers that we have today. Without further ado, I'll hand the time over to Eric and Lai Fong to share a bit more about the sessions we have lined up.
Okay, so today we're gonna have first speaker will be Abu, and Abu here will be talking about Flutter with us, and yeah.
Hi, everybody.
All right, just a second. Okay. Yep, I think I've shared your screen, Abu.
Okay. Let me start my presentation. Okay, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my knowledge on this event. It seems like every day brings news of a company who has just released a new app built with Flutter or one that has switched over to Flutter. It's clear that companies of all sizes, from enterprise companies with multiple development teams to lean startup with only one engineer, benefits from Flutter. Do you guys know Google, Toyota, BMW, eBay, even Alibaba using Flutter for building their apps? Now you may ask, what is Flutter? Flutter is a free and open source framework created by Google. It helps developers to create native applications with one code base. This session is also based on Flutter. Let me introduce myself. My name is Anwar and Abdullah. I'm a Flutter developer at TakeIn, also the founder of the Flutter Word, the second most popular YouTube channel for Flutter. I love open source. Till now, I created more than 30 plus projects on GitHub, which have more than 15K stars. Even my Flutter admin panel project ranked top at GitHub trending page. Still now, I have more than 5K followers, which make me most following GitHub user in Bangladesh. Today, I'll talk about how you can make your app stand out by styling widget, create a dynamic theme, and a toggle between available themes. One of the greatest features of Flutter is that it gives you absolute control of every pixel on the screen. This allows developers to implement the designer vision without compromise. So now most of you guys may ask, what is theming actually? Theming is a process of using set of colors, font, shape, and design styles through our app. Or you can say it's a way to centralize all your stylistic decision in one place. This is the app that I'm going to show you how you can build it with Flutter. Obviously, it contains actually two pages, one for the onboarding, or you can say it a welcome screen, and the other one is home page, which shows us list of jobs, and at the bottom right corner it has a floating action button. Or once you click the button, it will toggle the theme for you, a theme for us. So if you install Flutter on your device, then you can create new Flutter project using Flutter create and your project name. I'm using GoJobs here. This is my project structure. I create a folder called assets, which contain my icons and images. Inside the lib directory, I create a folder called constant.dirt, which contain all of our constant files like color, font style, default padding, other kind of stuff, and then create a file called theme.dirt, which contain our light theme and dirt theme. Now come to our pubspec.yml. On pubspec.yml, I added 3 packages. First one for Flutter SVG, which help us to draw SVG icon in our app. I'm using custom SVG in this app. That's why I'm using this Flutter SVG package. And then I'll add I added Google Fonts, which help us to use any fonts from fonts.google.com pretty easily. At the end, I'm using Git. Actually, most of the time we use GitX for state management, but this is a pretty simple app that I'm going to show you. There is no state management, but I'm using GitX for toggling the theme. And GitX makes it pretty easy to toggle the theme. That's why I add GitX here. And also define our icon and image directory in our assets. So now come to our constant.dirt. I already mentioned you guys that all of our constant stuff will be there. As you can see, our primary color and a blue color. And also I created 2 sections, one for the light theme, dark theme. Our secondary color have 2 variants, one for the light theme, another one for the dark theme. Same for text color, body text color, 2 variant. But on Flutter by default they're using white for the light theme and a white background for the light theme, and we use white color for our app. That's why I don't define any background color for light theme, but we're using custom background color for dark theme. That's why I define BG color dark theme. This one. At the end, I define default padding and default border radius. Now come to our theme.dirt. So obviously it supports light and dark theme. So we need to have the 2 theme, one for the light theme, another one for dark theme. This is all light theme data. This one is the dark theme data. In Flutter, you can just create a light theme and dark theme, only one line of code. Just define your brightness to brightness.light for light theme, and for dark theme, just define the brightness to brightness.dark. It will create 2 different themes for you. But what I'm going to do, I'm just using those same theme, just modify it as our requirement. Also, I'm using Poppins text font. That's why I define this Poppins text font theme.light text theme using Google Fonts. Or maybe you can use, instead of theme data, you can use theme.context.text theme. It totally depends on you. Now come to our material app. I don't like this default banner at the top right corner. That's why I set it false. Define our light theme and dark theme. And on starting, I'm calling the onboarding screen. We are not created it yet. Let's create our onboarding screen. This is our onboarding screen, which is a stateless widget. And this is the preview of our onboarding screen. It contains an image, then text, and a button. Inside the column, it has image, text, and button. So let's define the image here inside the column. Inside the expanded widget, I define our image, which is a feed of boxfit.cover. Boxfit.cover. So why I'm using expanded here actually. Expanded takes I want this image to take 50% of the width of the height, 50% of the height, and other 50% of the height for this text and button. That's why I'm using expanded here. Now add this text. Looking for a dream, which is a kind of big text. That's why I'm using theme of context, text theme, and heading 5. Flutter gives us theming for all kind of text. If you don't know about this, those are the scale category here. Here I'm using heading 5. Typeface is Roboto, and font is regular, and font size is 24. So if you want bigger size, then you may use heading 4, heading 3, 2, 1, or it probably depends on your style, what font size you want to use, and you can choose one from here. It has button, font theme, text theme for button, caption, overline, everything. So now come to our code. So I'm using a heading 5, but a heading 5 has a font width of normal, but we want a bold font width. So what I did, I just copied the heading 5 copy with the heading 5 style, and modified the font width as our required font, which is the font width dot bold, and then define the text here. This is a normal text, body text. Now let's create this primary button. This is our primary button, which is the elevated button. Here I define the text, background color, add some padding, and rounded corner. But the question is, typically on our app, we need to use this primary button in a lot of places, minimum 7 to 8 places. So what you really want? Do you really want to use the same style for all of the place? Obviously not. That's why the best practice and what I really recommend to define our primary button style in our theme, and Flutter will allow us to do that. How can we do that? In our theme data, we have a parameter called elevated button theme, which is a elevated button theme data, or I just copy the style and paste it here and define it in our elevated button theme. Now check our button. I just remove the style and just define elevated button, and on phrase and text, it works perfectly. So in future, let's say if we want to change the color of our button, then just go to our theme and change the color of a button. It applies, it's everywhere. Now, if we turn the dark theme of our app, it looks like this, but we want this. So what's the difference? The first difference is the image. We use different image for the dark theme, and the background color. Obviously, this is the default background color that Flutter gives us for the dark theme, but this is what I want. So how we can show different image for different theme. So for that, we need to know if we are on dark theme or we are on light theme, and we can get this by using theme of context context.brightness. If the brightness is light, that means we are on light theme. If the bright theme, then I'm using the light image. Otherwise, I'm using the dark image. Now let's change the background color. So let's go because we need to change the background colors for dark theme. Yeah, on Flutter we can change our scaffold background color on each scaffold, but we want to use this color for all of our screen. That's why we define it on our theme data. Theme data there is a scaffold background color, and I define a BG color for dark theme. And voila, it works perfectly fine, and this is what we want. So as you can see, how easy it is to use dark and light theme in Flutter. Only a few tweaks, and you are ready to rock. Now come to our home screen, which is also a stateless widget. And at the top, it contains a text called jobs, which is a text theme of heading 5. And then this is our job card. This is a container with color of secondary color like theme. Then it is also a container. This is here is the container, and color is white. And I wrap this image inside a padding. So let's turn on the dark theme for this home screen. This is what it shows if we turn on the dark theme, but this is what we really want. So how we can do that? How we ship this one to that one? Let's check. So here the background color is secondary color like theme. But I already mentioned I have two variants for secondary color, one for the light theme and another for the dark theme. So I can define the secondary color on our theme for different color for light and dark theme. And here this container is a color of white, but as you can see, this color and this scaffold color are the same color. So we can use here our scaffold color instead of white. So on dark theme, it also use the same scaffold dark color. So you can use that. So at first, let's define our secondary color. or on Flutter theme data, we easily define the primary color, but there is no direct way to implement the secondary color because secondary color on the available on the color schema. So what I did is I'm just copy the color schema and just modify the the secondary color. For light theme, I'm defining secondary color light theme, and for the dark theme, I'm defining secondary color dark theme. Yes, obviously instead of theme dot light, maybe you can use theme of context dot color schema, then copy with secondary color, use secondary color. So what I did there on this container, I'm using theme of context, color schema, secondary color. Obviously, this is the secondary color. It looks perfect. Yes, you see, it used the dark version for dark theme. It used the dark version of the secondary color. For light theme, it used the light version of our secondary color. Also and also on this container, I'm using theme of context, scaffold background. So for white theme, it used this color, white background color, and for dark theme, it used this background color. You see, you just need to know the tricks. There's nothing fancy stuff for that light and dark theme. You just need to implement few tricks, and your app looks pretty good or amazing. Then I just create a card for our job card which contain those tags, and this button is same for light theme and dark theme. Also inside the row, I'm using icon and those office information, date, and the location of the company, which is the card, and how I need to pass our image. Just and all of those are fixed. I need to pass the logo for demo. I'm doing that. Obviously, for real life, we don't just pass the image. So let's create list of our jobs. If you're familiar with Flutter, then most of the time you see for list view, we are using list view.builder. Then why I'm using separated here? Actually, for each card, I want a space here. After each card, I want a space. That's why I'm using separated, list view separated. Well, it allows me to add extra space after each card. That's why I'm using it, and those are fixed now because it's a demo. I'm using 5 cards here. It shows perfectly fine. Now add this floating action button, which help us to change the theme. So on scaffold, we have a floating action button, and which also Flutter gives us a widget called floating action button, which is this one. I'm defining background color, text color, light theme. Why I'm using this color? Actually, my plan is for light theme, the color of this button will be black. For the dark theme, the color of this button will be white. That's my plan. And icon the dark mode, and I already told you guys that I'm using GateX. I'm using GateX for changing the theme. And so let's implement and GateX to our app. If you want to use GateX, then you need to change your material app with Get Material app. That's it. You don't need to do anything else for this app right now because we are not using any state management kind of stuff. Just change your material app with Get Material app. So come to our floating action button. On Gate pretty easily. If we are using Gate, we can easily access our theme, text theme, or scaffold background color instead of theme and theme of context using just Gate.text theme and body text one color. I'm using in here this color. Why I'm using actually body text color? Because on the light theme, the body text color is dark. This is what we want, and and dark theme, the body text color is white. This is what we want. We don't need to define another color. We just use a trick here. And if on the Gate, it just if you're using Gate, you just call the change theme mode, and Gate.is dark mode is a boolean. If we are in dark mode, then I'm changing the mode to light. Otherwise, it change the mode to dark, and this work smoothly, as you can see. Also, I'm using different icons for light theme and dark theme. As you can see, night mode icons are this. So those are the material icon. Thank you guys. This all from me today. Hope you learned something new. And those are the resources I'm providing. You can find this whole project on GitHub. You can check it. Or if you want to know more about Flutter, how to use light theme, dark theme, or how you can create responsive app or beautiful UI, then you maybe check my channel called the Flutter Way. I really appreciate that. And especially thanks to Lifong for inviting me this event.
Okay, good talk. Abu, I learned a lot. I don't really use Flutter, but definitely learned quite a bit. So let's just get straight to the questions. So it seems like we have 2 questions here from the audience. Let me see. Right. So one from Andrew Lam. So how to choose between Flutter and React Native? So I guess this is quite a common question, right?
Yep, it's pretty common. Actually, it totally depends on you. Both are capable of doing great stuff, but it requires if you're actually I'm not that much experienced with React Native. That's why I'm not explaining a lot of stuff on React Native, but on Flutter. They already provide, they're capable of doing pretty good stuff. As I mentioned already, Google, BMW, Toyota are using Flutter. So what does it mean? They are big companies, and a lot of they need to handle a lot of users. So Flutter already proved its capability to handle a pretty big audience. And other hand, and Flutter, if you're using Flutter, I don't know about that much on React Native, but if you're using Flutter, it's pretty easy to build beautiful UI, as I already explained on this slide, how easily I can create those 2 screens, which look, for my eyes, it look amazing. And for React Native, I think you need to style. Yeah, obviously React Native has the benefits of using CSS. I think if you're not familiar with CSS, you can encode the app. But trust me, on Flutter widget, at the beginning, it's feel like, yeah, there's a lot of widget. No, I need to learn a lot of stuff. But it's just pretty similar with CSS. You can pro at it pretty soon. Or just you need to play with 1 or 2 projects.
Right. Thanks for the question, Andrew. So now one more question from Tang Jun Xiong. So, hi Abu, could you recommend the illustration library that you use in your app for app images or animations, etc.?
Actually, I'm not a guy who is good at UX. Actually, I have a team. They build those kind of 3D icon or vector for me, and they provide me the UI. I'm coded that. But if you are a programmer or coder, I'm not recommend you to waste your time to doing those kind of illustrator. Just as you may ask a designer, please, can you do that? Or if you want design like me, I think Dribble is the best place for or find those kind of good images or UI. Just go to the dribble.com. I think you'll love their work. And most of most of the UI is free, so you can download it and use it. This is what I did actually.
Okay. So thank you, Jun Xiong, for your question. I think that's all for the questions. So as usual, perhaps you can share your social media again, Abu. Just for our audience who have questions later, you can always find
the social.
Abu on
I'm pretty active on my YouTube channel. Obviously, you can comment on any video. I'll try my level best to replay there, or maybe you can. And if there are any emergency issue, then you can mail me at abuanwar072@gmail.com. Also, you will find that email on my GitHub or my YouTube channel, same email. Or otherwise, you can follow me on LinkedIn. You can directly text me, so we can chat about your issue. I'm always happy to help.
Right. Yeah. And I saw your YouTube play button at the back. Very, very cool. Okay. Thank you, Abu.
That one. Thank you.
Congrats. Thank you. So we'll have our next speaker, and it will be Jessalyn Yin. So Jessalyn Yin has been, I'm pretty sure her face is very familiar within this community. So she's currently a Chrome DevTools developer advocate at Google. Yep. Jessalyn?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sharing my screen.
Hi,
Can
Kiran.
everyone
Nice
see
to
my
meet
screen
you.
now? Can you
Yes.
see? Yes. Okay, let's start. So 10:30, I have until 11, right? So hi everyone, I'm Jesslyn. So to start off, thanks everyone for joining. I think maybe today is Saturday, you still wake up early. Maybe you wake up like 12 a.m. p.m. now because you have nothing to do at home, right? Anyway, thanks everyone for joining. And okay, okay, let me show this photo. So I hope everyone still haven't forget the feeling of getting together with real people, a lot of people in the same room. So this is one of the photo of IO Extended KL 2019 BC. So it's before COVID. I think this is the last IO Extended that we have in real life. Oh, okay, in a physical form. So then today I tried to spot myself. Hey, where am I? So that's me during that time. Actually, I slimmed out a little bit during the COVID time. And then this is the next speaker, Guan Hong. And then I also spot Eric and Lai Feng. So two of this is the organizer. Thanks for organizing this. And I hope for those who are joining now, you can think back and find back the fun memory that you have. I actually miss the free food, the free T-shirt. I haven't get it for a while now. So hopefully we can get back to the get back to the old normal again. And then because of the COVID, so I actually make this photo. I didn't put in the, so I should put some, I put some animation, but I should put some the set music because now we cannot get together. I just see each other online. Anyway, today I will talk about Chrome Dev 2, gives you some update on Chrome Dev 2 2021. And then we'll talk about something about stuck at home and mental health. And we'll get other speaker to do a mini panel session as well. Okay, let's start. Okay. So before that, I need to introduce myself a little bit. So my name is Jesslyn Yin. So that one on top is my orangutan. So this is my pet at home. I don't have a real pet now. And this is my Twitter, so you can follow me. Or you can follow the Chrome DevTools account, if Twitter account, if you want to know more about Chrome DevTools. Okay, so DevTools stand for developers tools. So DevTools is the tools that usually we use to help for you developers to debug your website, to help you understand your website better or how to improve it. But actually, DevTools so for example, most of us use a lot of the console panel where so this is one of my popular posts recently. So we can use like Chrome DevTools, the console panel, to write some JavaScript to actually not hacking the website, to pre-fill the vaccination registration. During that time, I think I was like try to get myself to register for the exact vaccine, and then I want to be faster, so I go and check the website. Oh, actually, we can write some JavaScript to pre-fill the form. Just pre-fill it, never submit it, so it's not considered hacking. So just pre-fill it. So this is something that we can do using Chrome DevTools. But actually, Chrome DevTools is also a desk tool. What do I mean by desk tool? It's designer's tool. Because if you think of it, when you open DevTools, the first panel you see is the elements panel. So from here, you will check what are the elements is there, and then you use it to change your, for example, the background color, to make your website look nicer, even if you are developers. But basically, you're actually using Chrome DevTools to assist you in doing designing. So today I will talk about a few designing features that we recently added in the Chrome DevTools to help you debug and alter your website better. The first one is definitely CSS grid and flexbox tooling. Not sure if you all noticed, we actually added some new badge here. So if that DOM element is a flexbox or is a grid, we actually will show you a mini badge next to the element there. And then from there, you can focus on it and then do something about it. Let me just demo it live. Okay, here. So for example, I'm on the Stripe website. If I open now, I can see that this whole thing is not an image. It's basically a DOM element. So what I can do is I can focus on it, And then depends on whether I want to highlight it. So if I want to highlight it, I can click on the badge, and then you can see that DevTools actually help you to paint the outside so that you see that element. And not just about that. So for example, let's say you want to debug this element as well. You can also click on it to focus on it so that you see the numbers and then see the information. And then beside that, we also added a layout panel. So from here, if you go to the Flexbox here, so you see, let me scroll down. So there's a Flexbox overlay section here. So if I scroll down, I can see that this is the element that we highlight. So if I want to check others element, I can as well. But for example, this color is not that stand out. So I want to change the layout color. So I can do that. Just to change the layout color for you to debug slightly better. Or you can actually, for the grid, let me focus on the grid. So for example, for the grid, you can actually toggle different settings. So for example, now I say that I want to show the line number. So you see that there's 1, 2, 3, this line number. Sometimes you might not want to show the line number. Maybe you define line names for your grid. But in this case, it doesn't show the line name because Stripe doesn't create the line name, doesn't declare the line name is the CSS. But if there is, it will show up. Or if you just want to hide the line label, that's fine as well. And then sometimes maybe you are not interested with the track size information, you want to hide it, or you want to show it, or you want to check whether the elements is aligned with the text or others element or not. You can also choose to extend the grid line. So from here, you can see that the grid line is already extended for you. And another cool thing that you can do with Chrome DevTools is, if you notice that there's a little icon here next to the grid. So let's say this element have a display grid or display inline grid. When you click on it, you can edit the layout by just clicking on this element. So for example, let's say I want to see that what if I change the justify item to like center on or to the right to justify end. You can see immediately. You don't even need to remember the syntax. It will, when you change it, we'll just edit the syntax for you here. Then later on, you can track the changes and copy it to your real code. The same you can do for Flexbox. There's also an icon here. So before this, you will need to remember also what is align item normal means. What is align item flex start or flex end or justify content means. Now you don't need to remember it. We kind of show you this like little preview icon, and then you click, and then we help you to have the CSS for you. And then if you want to track what are the changes that you have done in this page, what you can do is you can go to more tools, go to the changes tab. And here we'll tell you, okay, some bug here because I'm using Chrome Canary. Every time when doing demo, there will be something happen. So it's supposedly to show up some of the changes here that we have done. And then you can copy the changes and then paste in your code. Okay, I will report this bug. So anyone, if you see that there's some problem with Chrome DevTools, you can click on more tool help and then report the DevTools issue to report the DevTools issues to us. But this one, the current version I'm using, is not a stable version. It's something that we call Chrome Canary. Let me just show you here. It's called Chrome Canary. So this is the version that we encourage developer to use because we build it every day. And all the latest feature that we have built on the day, we have checked in on the day, will be showing up in the Chrome Canary browser version. So this is the not stable version, but we encourage developer to use to help us test the features so that we can detect something not working, like for example, this one. Okay, so the next feature I'm going to talk about is about color theme emulation. So now a lot of websites start implementing dark theme. So if your website want to implement dark theme and you want to debug it, previously, if you want to debug dark theme, you kind of need to change your machine, your laptop settings to dark. Then your browser can detect that your machine is actually on dark theme. Then you can debug it. But this is kind of troublesome because you kind of need to keep on changing your system setting in order to debug your website. So what DevTool does is DevTool add an emulation function to give you to let you emulate the dark theme without changing your system, your PC or laptop settings. So for example, here I've opened GitHub. So now because my machine is on light theme, so I can see the light color. If you want to use DevTools to emulate, you can pull out the more tools, rendering, and then from here you scroll down, and then you can find the prefer color scheme media feature, and then you can say that if you want to emulate the page into dark theme, if the page support dark theme, then it should change automatically. For example, like this one, you can see that it's changed, or you want to emulate to light theme, it will change as well. So you can do this to debug your website, to debug whether you have set your style, you have styled your page correctly, all the colors is viewable. But there's the other quicker way to actually do the emulation is you use Command Shift and P. So this is a shortcut key, Command Shift and P, and then you pull out this command panel, and then maybe you just type light theme. Then you can select the emulate CSS prefer color scheme light. So this command Shift P, this command panel is very handy, because even if you want to show, like you want to go to the console panel and the console panel is somewhere else, you can just click show console and then it will toggle to the console panel. Or if I want to go to the network panel, I just need to type network and then I type it and then I can go to the network panel. Or if I want to emulate a certain function, you can just type and then go to emulate a certain function that you need. It's a quick way to access all the most of the command in DevTools. Okay, and since we are on the rendering tab, there are also a few new emulation feature that we are adding. So for example, you can also emulate a new CSS feature called prefers reduced motion. So this prefer reduced motion is, so for example, some users, sometimes when you design your page animation, you kind of want to design it, the animation like moving fast, so from here 5 to the other side very fast. But for some users, maybe they prefers reduced motion because some users just cannot stand, they will feel like faint. So if you want to cater for different user needs, when the user turn on the prefers reduced motion options, there's a CSS syntax that you can use to say that, hey, if the user is prefer reduced motion, maybe you want to slow down the animation to take more time, or you totally disable the animation itself. So you can do that. And there's also another CSS media feature, prefer reduced data. When the user, let's say, setting the browser to prefer reduced data because maybe they are on 2G or 3G slower network, then you probably don't download some fancy CSS file to load the fancy page, but loading a simpler page for them. So you can use DevTools to emulate that, to test whether your web page is functioning correctly without actually changing the real browser setting, but just emulate it with the DevTools. Okay. So the next feature that I'm going to talk about is something about the color contrast. So in this world that we are living in, there are about 3 million people, almost colorblind people in the world. So if this translates to a state between gender, there will be 1 in 12 men, not sure why, 8% of men have higher probability of colorblind, and 1 in 200 women in this world suffer from different level of colorblind. So colorblind might not be, it's a spectrum. It's not like you have colorblind, you have not colorblind, but it's probably like you have some colorblind or you totally cannot see certain color. For example, let's say one people is having colorblind for red color, they cannot see red color. Sometimes maybe they just cannot see 50% of the red color. Sometimes it's 100% you cannot see the red color. So it's a spectrum that it basically move. Okay, if you want to learn more, you can go to this colorblindAwareness.org to learn more about colorblind. Okay, then I have a code like basically talk about how you can discover and fix low contrast text within the DevTools. So one of the problem that the website, if the easiest way to increase your website accessibility to people with colorblind, with contrast issue, is to fix the color contrast of your page. There's a lot of page have not very good color contrast, and sometimes you just don't realize, because for people with normal vision, they might see the text okay, but for people with color vision, have some color blind issue, they might not see the text, but you don't aware of these issues until you try to discover and fix it. So let me just demo to you how you can fix it with the DevTools. So before you fix it, you basically need to identify the issues. So DevTools have a very interesting feature. It's called Emulate Vision Deficiency. You can see that it's still on the rendering tab just now. Go to More Tool and Rendering tab, put it out, and then you scroll to the bottom, and then you can see an Emulate Vision Deficiency option here. So for example, this is a Netflix page. There's a lot of image, there's a lot of words. So if let's say you are a developer for Netflix, you want to check whether this page is color contrast, have low contrast text, there's a tools to detect that. But for example, during your day-to-day development, maybe you want to experience it, you can also use the emulation to emulate the whole page to blurred vision. So this is how roughly a person with blurred vision will experience your page. So is your text big enough? Even if I have blurred vision, I can roughly see the words. Or for example, you can change to protanopia. Protanopia is someone with color blind in red, so means that they cannot see the red color, how they perceive your website. So if I turn it on, the red color gone, is this word still stand out, or is this word still okay? So you can also use this feature during the development, when you develop the website, to field it, to see how basically the website will see and look for a colorblind person. So another way that you can detect the issues, a color contrast issue, is, let me open another testing page first. Demo, anchovy, CBS, anchovy. Okay. For example, in this page, this anchovy and delicious is not having good color contrast. Now probably some of you can see it, some of you maybe see it blur, but it have not a good color contrast. So DevTools actually have an experimental feature. Let's click on the setting, and then if you click on the experiment, you can actually turn on enable automatic contrast issue reporting via issue panel. So if you enable this one, every time when you refresh your page, you can see that DevTools will report if your page have any color contrast issue. DevTools will report it under the issues panel. So it will show you that how many issues you have in the page. If you click on it, it will show you user have difficulties reading the text due to some difficult color contrast. And then from here, you can see that what are the element that is impacted, and then you can click on it and you can try to fix it. Okay. And then, or another popular features is you can fix the color. So for example, this line one, you can fix the color by clicking it here, by clicking on the color, and then the contrast panel, and then click the color that below the line. It will show you the contrast line, and then click it and fix it. You can do it like that. But if you want to detect the whole page, let's say you just want to run a report and then to see the whole page color contrast issue, you can also click on, you can also enable a feature, the experimental feature as well. Click on the experiments here, and then go to the enable CSS overview. So you need to enable this CSS overview. And then there's a new panel called CSS overview. Where is my CSS overview panel? CSS, did I not enable that just now? Let me check. Enable that, reload DevTools, CSS overview, and then I will capture an overview, and then go to the colors, and then you can see that it will show you that currently my page have two color contrast issue. One is this element, another one is this element, the token. Okay, then you can click and then you can fix it as well. Okay, So this is how you can discover and fix. You can follow this code lab to learn more. And the third one is something we call Web Vital Overlay. So if you want to check your page speed, whether your element when you show up or when you hide it, whether the performance is good or not good during the first load, you can enable this performance overlay to actually check on that. So so for example, if I'm on this page, if I go to the rendering panel, again the same panel, so you can click on the Core Web Vitals overlay to check whether the largest content full pane means that the largest content on your page, whether it's paint nicely, how many seconds is used to paint, is it acceptable? If it's not acceptable, then it will show you in red color, or if it's still okay, then it will show you warning color. Or if your first input delay is nice. So this is how user experience your website. So it will show you some of the steps. Then you can just enable that to check on the speed, the performance on your page. If you want to learn more about Web Vital, go to the Web Vitals link. Okay, so there are a lot more designing features that we have for Chrome DevTools. Actually, I have a video talk about that with my colleague Adam. So we have a 11 minutes video. If you would like to, you can go to the video, and we do this video especially for the I/O session, the Google I/O. Okay, and there's another video that I do. Talking about the new features of Chrome DevTools, to sum up Chrome DevTools 2000 new features. Probably you might be interested as well. And the video is inspired by Uncle Roger to cook a fried rice here. So you can watch as well to learn more about last year features, because last year feature is quite interesting as well. Okay, then every 6 weeks, I will publish a new blog post about what's new in DevTools. Because every 6 weeks, we will release a batch of new feature. So you can learn more by going to go.go/devtools-blog, or you can follow our Google Chrome developers channel. I will release the video there as well. Sometimes I do it in Bahasa Melayu, and there's one I do it in Mandarin, and there's one I do it in Cantonese. But I will always do an English version, so you can always follow that. Okay, follow our YouTube channel or follow our blog post to get up to date. Okay, finish talking about the work stuff. Let's talk about some interesting stuff. Okay, so since MCO start, right? Yeah. Okay, someone is talking. Is it? Okay. So unmute lah. Why you unmute so fast? Okay. So since MCO start, at the very beginning, we are like, oh, maybe it's just 2 weeks, just stay at home, stay safe. It's not going to be a big thing. And then suddenly you wake up one day, it's now already like 2021. And maybe now you wake up another time again, maybe 2022 is coming. And then you say Happy New Year, but you're still stuck at home. So there are these feeling that, so for me personally, I think mental health is very important. That's why I start talking about this thing. So my emotions since MCO is like going up, because it's still very hopeful that it will gone soon. We'll go back to back to the normal, and then it's go down. It's go really down, that I feel like, oh, why I stuck here and why I'm still lonely. There's a lot of feeling like going up and down and up and down, and also something happened to my life, my relationship, my family. So there's a lot of up and down, and it's impacted me really badly for some moment. And during the MCO 1.0, the first time MCO that time, I see news that people going to a park and jogging, because that time we say that everyone please just stay at home. And then there's just people that don't listen, go to the park and do jogging, still want to go out. And that was like, I don't understand why just ask you to stay at home, didn't ask you to go to the front line to help the COVID worker, to help you to work or anything, just ask to stay at home, do nothing. Why you just cannot do it? Then I was just, I'm not understand that point, because at that point of time, I also stay together with my family. So there are family member around. Then I just don't understand why there are still people so stubborn, don't listen. And then until now, I'm the one who always think of want to go out. And now I was like, oh, okay, I understand now. Also now I'm staying alone. I don't stay with my parents anymore. I stay alone. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to stuck at this place, work, sleep, cook, eat at this place. I just want to go out. But the feeling of stuck at home is still with me. Okay, so I totally understand why are they now. So if you are reading some news on why people still go out to do workout or anything, because that's important. But we must not break the rules of MCO, the MCO that the government set. So if the government say no, then you just don't do it lah, huh? But if let's say the government say okay to do it alone, then you just do it alone lah. You don't break the rule, but I kind of understand the feeling of why they break the rules and they go out. Okay, so these are some of the words that come out when you are down. So you cannot do anything now. You are lonely because now I stay alone. Now you have no boyfriend, and then you are boring and work. Even if you earn some money, then what else? You cannot go travel. You cannot go anywhere. So these are the negative words that will pop up during when you are down and when you are stuck at home, and whatever the emotion hit you, like I'm not sure whether some of you have it or don't have it. You can leave in a comment and then we can discuss about it. But this is some of the feeling that I have. And then a lot of people will just tell you the world has bigger problem. There are people, the world has a lot of bigger problem. You're this problem, lonely, no boyfriend, work, you still got the work. Why are you thinking of your tiny problem? And there's a lot of problem. This world have a lot of problem. Someone struggle to earn a living. There are others people, family is starving. There are people losing job. Even like fresh grad in university can't find a job. Some people COVID positive and some people die already. And there's also zoo animal that's hungry. But this world have always bigger problem for us to take care. And it's not like we just in the COVID, then the world have bigger problem. We always have bigger problem, but we also have our own problem. Let's not dismiss our own problem. We have to find way to, we have to look at it and then find ways. So sometimes I would just blame myself. Why do I think I have this problem? My problem is too tiny. But let's not blame, if you have this issue as well, let's not blame yourself. The problem is real and we need to face it. We need to find way to actually solve it. Okay, then so let's maybe I would just ask other speakers to join me, and then we talk about mental health and how do we cope, how do we feel when we're stuck at home, and how do we cope with it. Okay, so how wait, so now we can switch on the screen and then turn on everyone. So how is everyone doing? Okay, let me hide my slide first. Hey, I thought you want to put everyone on screen.
My bad.
Okay, so Henry is here as well. Okay, cool.
Hi.
So now we have from different countries. So let's just start with Abu first. So how's your situation? Probably just update us how is the situation in the country, and then how do you feel when you are staying at home?
And sorry, the situation is Bangladesh. We are now on the third wave. So the government announced shutdown, not lockdown. So it's kind of bad. But how I overcome with this situation? Yeah, at the beginning of the lockdown, I have the same feeling that you have. But then I realized, yeah, I have to do something. Otherwise, I'm not just passing my time just sitting there and scrolling my phone. It's pretty bored. I get bored of that. Then what I did actually, then I created my YouTube channel. Trust me, it's just 1 year I'm creating a YouTube channel. Then I just upload my first video, and boom, a lot of people like my videos. They're commenting, and I'm every day I'm just going in there and checking my comments. Oh my God, that's amazing! It boosts me more or to do more work. And I'll still now maybe I'll create 40 videos on my channel, more than 40 videos on my channel. So most actually, I'm to be honest right now on this situation, I'm happy because of the COVID. So I have more time, and I have more time to code. And I have because if there is no COVID, no lockdown, I have to go outside on college. I need to start and those kind of stuff. Yeah, it's obviously have fun to do that kind of, but obviously I don't get that much time right now. I have, but what this COVID give me the time to do what I always try to do, but because of shortage of time I can't. And I created my channel, created some project on GitHub, and people are really like those kind of stuff. Once I saw this comment, and it helps me. Still now, if I have feeling bored, just create a video. Let's create a video and check the comments.
That's good. Turning board into a productive thing. I think that's good. How about Henry? Also now a little bit of update. So Henry, probably you just tell everyone where are you, and then update about the country situation, and then how you cope with it.
I'm Henry. I'm still alive. I'm in Bangkok. So
Are you sure it's not
I'm in
recorded?
Bangkok.
Hello?
The problem is what? I'm alive. Yes, this is not AI. Yeah, I live in Bangkok. I'm from JB anyway. But yeah, the situation in Thailand is terrible. It's actually same as Malaysia. Today has like 9,300 cases,
Wow.
almost 10K. So I wonder who will win this race, Thailand or Malaysia. But to be honest,
We'll create a website to track this. When Thailand or Malaysia hit 10K first.
too depressed already. I don't want to look at this. And the vaccination progress is no comment. Okay, no comment. But anyway, for myself, because the pandemic, I don't know, is because I still have my own job. The only difference for me is no travel. I cannot go home. I love staying indoor, so it doesn't affect me anyway. I just stay at home. I just have another reason to stay at home. No, I have another reason to not going out. But of course, someone is like, I want to go to ride bicycle. I want to go to eat ramen. Then I was like, hey, cannot go out. I need to wear mask. But yeah, we need to wear mask. Then the problem is Bangkok is super hot, right? The weather is like 40 degrees every single day. Wear mask. I don't need to go out, right? Then I just stay at home. I order food panda, order Grab food, continue my life. I fortunate enough I can stay at home. Not other people, like some people, my brother, doctor, he need to go to hospital, high risk. But yeah, there are some other people like they lost their job. But for me, I still have my job. So what I can do to save everyone is I'm not going out. The working environment in Bangkok, work from home. I haven't seen human for I don't know how many days.
No, someone in the chat asked, how's the working environment in Bangkok? I think it's nice to have a to see how others are doing. Also, it's not just like Malaysia or our own country, right?
Yeah, the thing is not only working environment. Actually, the whole world is the same thing. Except maybe US, Europe, I don't know. But like for Thailand and Malaysia, we love to say like the economy is terrible, everything is terrible. Yes, in Thailand, everything is terrible. It's just same as in Malaysia.
It's terrible, but I still miss the food. I still miss the terrible part of Bangkok. There's a lot of fun that I have there. We go to like restaurants, some 18 years old above restaurant, and then have fun, and then just see, not like have fun or something, but just see and then just experience the culture. I think it's very good.
Yeah, but the sad thing about those, I think most of those shops all bankrupt already.
Okay.
Because they rely on 100% tourists, right? And mostly like local people will go, so they need foreigner, but there's no foreigner here. Like one of the biggest market in the world, the Chatuchak market is very, very sad. Like most of the shops are closed. So yeah, that's why I said I'm very lucky. I still have my job. Those people working at market, they don't have any job anymore.
So Wan Hong, how about you? Like, how do you cope with, and also because I think there are some recent things happen in your life as well. So how do you cope with that, and how are you doing in this situation?
Yeah, so I think I can share from my personal experience. I during my PhD time, I actually gone through some mental issues. I mean, I had suffered depression before. I think during this time that it's okay to admit that you have problem with your mental problem. It's okay to admit, because it's not something like a taboo. If you feel like you are having issue with your brain, even with mental, it's like an issue with other part of your body is the same. So if you really need to seek help, you should go and seek help. No, because mental issue is not something that you should be shy of, and something that you want to hide. Sometimes the best way to have to deal with mental issue is to socialize and to communicate with people, and to get people to understand your feeling. And then if that doesn't help, then professional help. Go and see a doctor, because just like when you have gastric, you need a gastric medicine. When you have a mental issue, you really need to have a certain medication to actually help you to feel better. Because a mental issue is just like any body issue. If you don't treat it, it will get worse, and then you get to know some other things, like, for example, mental issue can become depression, can become a more serious problem like schizophrenia or whatever. So I think the first stage is to actually accept that you have a problem. That's acknowledge that you have a problem, and then see how you can, if your problem is getting serious. Okay, of course, during this time we all locked down. Loneliness is also one of the problems that actually can cause a mental issue. Second thing is also, I believe that too much of social media is also not good for your mental health, because you always look at the lens of other people's life from social media lens. It looks very nice. People having a good time, having good food, or maybe they're all now ordering Busan King durian, or they're enjoying their Busan King durian. And then you are sitting at home eating sometimes eating your own food and you're not happy. So try to understand yourself. It's also a good time to reflect on your own feeling. Do some sort of meditation, exercise. These are things that can help. So, and of course, like you said, everybody have different level of problem in their life. I also gone through several problems this year. A lot of big things happen also. Change of job, loss of family members. Yeah, it's not easy to deal with, but of course, there are friends around, family member around. Always talk to them, do a video call, update everyone. Yeah. Because towards the end, human being is just like any other living being. We are socialized animal. We need to have human contact, human connection, human communication.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I watched some news that Malaysia, the case of people seeking of help of depression in the hospital have been rising like 20%, and the case of killing themselves is like rising all time high. It's also very high as well.
3% per day.
Yeah, 3% per day, and that's serious. And then I also read some documentation about someone share. So there are people that will hurt themselves, like maybe they just cut their hand because they have depression issue, and they explain the reason why they cut their hand is because they cannot see the pain. So when they cut it, they can actually see that it's hurt. That's why, although mental health, your depression is something that you cannot see, but you don't. They just want to see. So you want to see to see that, oh, okay, so this is the pain that caused me. So if you really have help, you really need to go seek out help, like Dr. Poo mentioned just now. Go to find your friend to have a chat, or just find random people to have a chat, or go to the hospital to seek for professional help. Okay, so how about Eric? I think Eric also saying consider staying alone, right?
Yeah, I guess you can. I have a family member staying with me right now, but it's. I'm still lucky. I cannot like Jocelyn said, right? Sometimes you think you're so lucky, and then you kind of invalidate your own feelings, right? But yeah, I am honestly like quite lucky. Still have a job, still can eat and things like that. But yeah, I think all of us have been trying to try to distract, right, a little bit by doing stuff. For me, mostly it's been reading books and just focusing on work, I guess. And really hope that this can be over soon. We can take a break, take a proper vacation. Because
Yes, travel, good trip.
yeah, right. Because everyone's working from their own house or own room, and then it's like the separation from work and life, the work-life balance is quite difficult, right?
So do you do
Yeah.
anything to make your work-life balance?
I try to have a limit, maybe 7 p.m., 6 p.m., and then I just stop. It doesn't matter if I'm working halfway. Maybe I'll quickly finish, but I'll just try to drop and just take a break.
There's also one thing I learned from my colleague. So because in Google we also advocate for mental health as well. So what the suggestion is, maybe not working for you, but it's just a suggestion that you don't. Sometimes maybe when we work from home, we'll let's say you have a laptop, you work from your workstation, or sometimes you work on the bed, or sometimes you work at the kitchen, or sometimes you work just anywhere that you want. But this actually, a house basically have energy around. So let's say you mix things out. So for example, you work on your bed, like maybe today or the other day. Some people actually suffer from sleeping problem because in the bed they just feel that they are still in a working environment. So you kind of, if you split your place, like you're working, you just work at a certain area, and then you're having dinner at certain area, just fix it at certain area, then you know the purpose of the place, and then it probably will help you mentally that, oh, when I come to this place, this is a sleeping place instead of a working place. Just a suggestion, might work for you or might not work for you. Okay, how about Laifeng?
For me, still fine. Just that I think like everyone else missing the travel time, then like having the old normal life. Yeah. But all of that, I think already adapting to the current situation, but it's also kind of worrying to know when it's going to be the end. But I think everyone is just trying to survive.
Do you have any like new habit or new hobby since like COVID time?
No, but I actually stopped jogging and doing some of the outdoor activities. But then it's more staying indoors, like practicing some indoor exercises.
Okay. Okay.
We have
Nice.
a comment from Bao Xian Lun. I think it's a very good question. How can a group like GDGKL provide a space platform to keep the community together during this difficult
You have to call Dr. Lau Xian Long, okay?
Professor? It's professor now.
Yeah,
okay.
you thought you graduate from Sunway, then you don't need to call him doctor anymore.
Okay.
He's a professor now. I'm just saying.
Okay, so I think this question is best answered by Eric and Laifeng.
I think that's a very good question. We should probably do something. I think it will be a very good thing to explore. Anyone listening, maybe if you have any ideas or you have you want to work with us, maybe you can always drop by our Facebook page and message us, and we'll see how we can work something out. I think this is a very good initiative.
Can you have a talk shit section?
So just let Henry talk shit, yes.
Yes.
I think
Maybe not on our YouTube channel. Any views expressed by Henry does not reflect our own views.
Yeah. Very dangerous.
I think just keep the hashtag Rojak Chat is good.
yeah. And also maybe playing some virtual games together just to have some socialization.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I think I don't have like much time. But I will wrap up. I still have something. But thank you everyone. So I will wrap up and then I will pass to Fan Hong for the next talk. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks everyone. So if you have just share my screen first lah. Okay. Okay, you can hide everyone's face and then show my
Okay.
face.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Cecily.
Bye.
Thanks. Okay, now go back to my face. Okay, so to wrap up, so the other day I actually discussed with my friends. I discussed with a few friends. I asked like, what actually makes you happy? Because that time I was like quite down. Then I was like, what actually makes you happy? I feel like sometimes now it's like hard. What exactly the things that make me happy? So I was like thinking this question. Then my friend actually just throw one sentence to me. She said that, oh, if you are happy now, you won't ask this question. It's because you are not happy, then you're asking this question. Then the other friend actually give me another answer. He mentioned, oh, is being happy is something to look forward to. So let's say you have some, it's not really like you going to the end, you do that thing, but it's something that you're looking forward to, and then there's something to hope for. Then when I think of it, I go back and sit down and think of it. Last time, maybe the COVID actually impact me a lot is I cannot plan for the future. So for example, last time I would say that, oh, let's travel to some place, plan a Japanese trip or plan a trip to US. next month or next month. So there's something that I'm looking forward to. And then there's a lot of works that I need to do, like go and do some research in order to reach that. But now I can actually kind of don't have that. I cannot set that as a goal. I cannot set that as something that I'm looking forward to. And there's no activities that I can do to reach there. So, but this is also something that we can create it. So I try to zoom to a smaller thing. So what are the little things that I can do to make myself have something to looking forward to, can make me happy? So just now, Guan Hong is saying that, or sometimes looking at Facebook, you see others people eating musang king. Basically, I want to share my musang king photo. I won't share in Facebook yet. So, for example, yesterday I have a durian feast with some a family member. So there was a happy time. So we are like chatting that, let's go and get some durian, and then let's have a durian feast together. So last time, this thing might not be something that I'm looking forward to because it's just normal. Then you just go and grab something and then you go back home and eat. But now I try to see it as a thing that I'm looking forward into, because we still have food, we still have money to buy musang king. Musang king not cheap, okay? So you just create something that feel grateful, and then something that you're looking forward to. Or for example, sometimes I'm actually looking forward to browse the social media as well. Not for the negative news, but for example, what are someone is. So for example, Guan Hong is also sometimes posting what he eat. Like I was just curious that what he will order today from where. And then sometimes I will also reach out. Also, when I remember today, I feel like eating maybe bak kut teh. Then I remember that there are some posts that people post that they tapao somewhere before. Then I would just PM them and ask them, so where you tapao this, where you order this previously. Then I would just go and grab the food. So this is also something that to set the little things that you're looking forward to. For example, a Netflix show maybe is on certain dates. So there's something that I'm looking forward to. Or I set the routine that every night I will have fun games, or every week I will have a fun games with my friends. So there are something that try to focus on the little thing that I looking forward to, and I realized that make me happier now. Okay, and there's a saying that life is 10% of the thing happening to you, and there's 90% of how you actually react it. So the life like 10%. So just imagine that this COVID, the whole situation is just a suck situation is 10%, and then 90% on how you react. So these are something that I do myself. So I see less news. So the depressing, because the news that I need to know, definitely I will know. I don't go and progressively go and check out. If the case like today is 9,000 plus, and then suddenly someone will tell me. So if let's say it's something that really important news, I will get to know anyway. I don't need to don't need to purposely look out for it, because sometimes those news will just make me too sad. Then I'll just try to ignore this. So I see less news now. And then I try to go plants and veggies. At my home, I do hydroponic, a little one. So that every day I need to go and put in some waters and then see it growing. And that actually make me happy as well when I see that, the plant actually growing well, and growing not well die already, and why. And then there's something for me to care about. Take notes that I'm staying alone. That's why doing this thing, there's something to do. And then also have some home possible hobbies. So since COVID, I think I learned guitar. I tried to pick up ukulele, and then I learned guitars. And then previously I read books, but I realized that after COVID, I don't read as much book as I am previously, because my heart is just feel like I want to go out. So I want to do some more active, something that can move. So I choose guitar. I bought a guitar for myself, and that's very worth it. And then also sweat and get some fresh air. So sweat can be you do workout, you do house call, or you do anything. Just try to do some sweat and get some fresh air. So one tips for you, you cannot go outside, right? You can go down to your car park. If your car park have a good air condition, good air space, you can also go to car park to take a deep breath, because you cannot go to park anyway now. Or you have balcony, just go out to take some fresh air. Sweat and fresh air actually helps as well. And some people will say playing dating app is not good, but playing dating app is fine if you want to reach out someone to just chat or something, to do some random chat, but just be careful of scammer, and then just protect yourself. But now you don't need to protect yourself anyway. You are not going to meet out anyway. So playing dating app is fine. And then sometimes I have chat, games, memes with friends. So me and Henry and Xiang Yi, so my best friend, sometimes we just share different memes to within a group, and then we do a chat, and then we play some board games together. And another thing that make me feel grateful, feel better, is to help people. So to help is like probably you just share the news to help people, or you donate money because you can, because we can. So like just now other speaker is saying, we are lucky, we still have a job, we have something to do, we have food. So helping to buy food and then put in the Bandera Putih operations, or you just donate money to a zoo animal, donate money to help to help others, or you just some of my friends actually they collect the money and then they buy the food, and then they deliver it to orphanage house and then old folks home. So these are all the things that you can do to help others, and also if it's help you to feel that, oh, you are still lucky, to amplify that feeling, I think it's good as well. And I recently started this as well. I set up a few so every day, not every day, like every week there will be 3 days I set up 1 hour session. So if you want to find someone to chat about a software project that you are having, or if you are fresh grad, you're feeling lost, or if you are developers that you are currently, you need someone to talk to about your career, or just some personal issue, you can book my slot. So the slot already full for July and August, so September I think still have some slots. So if you want, you can also reach me out there, or you can follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, or Facebook, PM me if I have time. If your question is not like, hi, you are beautiful, those kind of message, scam message, I will reply. Okay, so thanks everyone. Last slide, stay strong, you got this. And then also stay negative for COVID, and then let's do dot diam diam in your home, and then eat popcorn to see how our politicians present the show. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, Jaslyn. I think there's a phrase that people always say, knowing is half the battle, or rather to paraphrase for our situation, acknowledging the problem is half the solution. And yeah, thank you so much. I think it was great, and a lot of people needed to hear that. So back to our regularly scheduled program, back to tech. So Dr. Poo is going to talk about introduction to on-device machine learning. So Dr. Poo is a GDE, Google Developer Expert for Machine Learning, and he's a lead data scientist at BAT. Yep. So let's see. Right.
Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen. Yep,
looks good.
Okay, good afternoon. So still good morning. So good morning, everyone. So today the topic that I'm going to talk is about introduction to on-device machine learning. So my name is Kwan Ho. You can call me KH. I'm the GDE in machine learning, and then I have a Twitter account using my name as a handler. You can actually follow me there. Okay, so we know that machine learning AI is a hot topic nowadays, but there's a lot of impression that the machine learning model will run on a server side using like large GPUs, or this graphic processing unit, or large TPU, tensor processing unit. But actually, at this current moment now, actually the most devices that actually run a lot of machine learning is edge devices. That is actually becoming more and more important platform for machine learning. So so as we know that one of the devices that actually run a lot of machine learning AI kind of solution services is the device that most of us will have, which is a smartphone. Okay, so let's find out that how can we actually run machine learning model on all these edge devices. First thing is when you talk about edge devices, okay, one of the features about edge devices is you have a latency. The latency have to be low because, for example, you need to process a certain video feed in real time. Therefore, you actually need a low latency to actually process the video. And actually, in that sense, definitely you need to have a method where you actually run the machine learning at the edge devices. Instead of sending the data to the server and then sending back the result, that will result a delay. Okay. Second thing is a lot of time all these edge devices, they are not all connected all the time. Okay. So you have no privilege to actually send data to the server and get the result. So without network connectivity and then you are offline, you are not able to actually run machine learning model if you're using the services from the server side. Therefore, you have to have a features where you can actually run at the device side then without any internet connection. And of course, the last thing that people are very concerned nowadays is actually how do we provide a better privacy protection without that the data is being sent to the server, and then you don't want all the activity of smart devices being tracked. You want to preserve some sort of a privacy protection without sending all this sensitive user data to the server for processing. Okay, so with these three reasons, therefore, there is a very urgent need to actually able to run machine learning at the edge devices. So what we are looking at is you have a lot of tools or framework available out there where you can actually run on-device machine learning, where you can actually develop or create a new generation of products. Okay. So, for example, you have let's look at one example here. So you can have you have an example here where you have these features where you can actually use your camera on your phone. Then you can actually try out different lipstick color on real time. So all this machine learning identifying the position of the lips and applying the color on the lips detection. Okay. It's actually done in real time, and then the machine learning model is actually small enough after you train the model, and then you can actually deploy it at the device itself. I'm sure if you are familiar with TikTok filter and all this Instagram filter, there are a lot of things that you can actually do, detecting of the face, whatever, all are done in real time, and then without the processing done at the server side. Another thing that probably one of the tools that if you like traveling. One of the tools that I always use is Google Translate. So before I go to the respective country, I will actually download dictionary offline. Then I can actually do a Google Translate on the fly on the edge devices. So you can actually, for example, if I go to a foreign country, I can use the Google Translate offline. Then I can scan the menu. Then I can understand the menu. Then I can make an order. Okay. So now these are things that I actually can do off. The model is being trained and the model is being deployed at the device. And then you can actually use all these services without any internet connection. Okay, so one of the framework that allow us to do on-device machine learning is what we is actually based what we call the TensorFlow Lite. Okay, so what is TensorFlow Lite? So TensorFlow Lite is basically a framework where it's actually allow you to implement on-device machine learning. Okay, so it actually allows you to run all these TensorFlow models, okay, on the edge devices. So we know TensorFlow is one of the famous machine learning or AI framework out there, which is actually used by many AI developer or machine learning developer. But most of these TensorFlow, the model that you build is actually trained at the server side using the large GPU or TPU. Okay, but what with TensorFlow Lite is you have a framework where now you can actually deploy all this machine learning model onto the mobile devices and all the embedded devices. So with TensorFlow Lite, you can use the same model that you train, okay, and then you can have some sort of customization, and then you can actually deploy on all these devices, no matter whether it's iOS, Android, Linux, or the cloud, or even what we call the edge, these new edge TPU devices, or called Coral. I'll explain more what is Coral. So for TensorFlow Lite, as we know, it's actually supported many devices. Of course, one of the devices that most people will use nowadays is a smartphone. So no matter whether you are running on Android platform or you're running on iOS platform, TensorFlow Lite support these mobile devices. The second platform that TensorFlow Lite will support is actually all the Linux-based devices. Okay, for example, if you have all these Raspberry Pi hobbyist devices, or you have a Coral development board, is also supported by TensorFlow Lite. And lastly, you have all this microcontroller. We have a lot of embedded system nowadays. People talking about IoT, and then you have a lot of devices that's embedded. Okay, for example, Arduino. And then you also can train a AI model or machine learning model, and then you also can deploy on all these small microcontroller embedded devices. Okay, so let's go through one of the platform that we talk. So definitely, smartphone is the most popular platform for all device machine learning at this moment. So there's already like more than 1,000 plus production app that's used globally. I'm sure if you are an Android user, you know that these are all the apps that you probably have installed on your phone. Like Google Photo, Gboard, Keyboard, okay, YouTube, Google Assistant, or even other popular apps like Uber, Viber, or Airbnb. So all these devices actually there are some machine learning model that has been already developed and they are trained, and then they are actually embedded onto the app. Okay, so all these apps is actually having the privilege of using TensorFlow model, where it's actually specially customized for smartphone apps. So as we know that more and more people are having at least one or more smartphone. So that definitely the number of smartphone devices or mobile devices out there is definitely a huge amount. So it's estimated there are more than 4 billion mobile devices globally. And then now you have this TensorFlow-like that actually allow you to actually deploy all your machine learning model, AI model on all these mobile devices with ease. Okay. So of course, if we talk about AI model, things that are quite very popular among AI developer or mobile developer is if we talk about text classification, text classification prediction. For example, if you use a Gboard, the popular keyboard by Google, so there's a lot of autocorrect and all this next word prediction. So all this model is actually deployed onto the app, and then you can actually run all this model offline. And then we also very commonly use like Hey Google, which is the Google Assistant in the Android app, Android platform, and also you have Hey Siri, which is iOS platform. So speech recognition is it's actually quite efficient and it's quite popular now. And we have come a long way where last time when we talked to all these devices is when you have different slang or different intonation or different pronunciation, it's having a hard time to understand your language. But now even our pronunciation is not very clear. All these devices are able to pick up and recognize our speech and able to convert all this speech to text and able to perform certain action based on our speech. Okay, another popular solution that is involved AI is of course we talk about image. So all this object detection, object location, OCR, optical character recognition. For example, we have a lot of apps that we can actually straight away scan text, then you can actually extract all the text into your Word document. So those are called OCR. Then now we have also gesture recognition, where a video webcam can actually recognize all the gesture, your hand gesture, whatever, and face modeling, segmentation. So these three areas definitely have gone a long way, okay, and then they have progressed very, very well. And all this model now is able to be trained and able to be deployed onto your all these mobile devices. And then next things that's quite popular now is all this translation and also video generation. So how does the TensorFlow help with all these popular problem that you want to deploy? So if you go to TensorFlow, like example, there are a lot of examples that already been built and trained by developer out there, and then it's being shared. So if you go to this website, you can see there's a lot of image classification that actually being trained. The model is being trained where you can deploy in Android, iOS, or Raspberry Pi. Similarly, for other solution like object detection, pose estimation, speech recognition, gesture recognition, or even smart reply. So one of the popular use is recently that is actually pose estimation. So for example, nowadays you have a lot of apps that can actually teach you how to do yoga at home, or how to improve your golf swing, or how to improve your maybe your position, whatever. So now you have a model that's already been trained out there where you can actually straight away deploy into an Android app or iOS app that you can actually estimate what is your post. Okay, then he will tell you whether your post is correct or wrong. Okay, and then that model is so small you can straight away deploy into your mobile devices. So we talk about API. There's a 3 level of things that you can start from. If you want to start using TensorFlow, you can use the high level API. So in Google, we have something what we call ML Kit. So this ML Kit actually is a high level API where you can actually deploy using this ML Kit to develop a lot of machine learning models, and then you can actually deploy on all these devices. Okay. Of course, if you want to go one level down, you can actually use the TensorFlow-like models, customized models. Okay. Or if you are a Google Cloud user, you can actually use the Google Cloud and then to train your model. Later, I will show some example how to train a model using Google Cloud. Okay. And then if you go one level down, you can actually write your model in the Android Studio for Android devices, or you can actually write your model and deploy onto these Coral devices, Coral bot. So you can see for the ML Kit, it's a high-level API. There are many solutions out there that you can actually develop. You can actually develop vision-based solution. For example, you can actually recognize text. Okay, you can recognize a face. Okay, you can recognize object. Okay, then you can actually these are all the API available in terms of vision. Okay. Then there's also API that involve about language, natural language. So you can actually do translation. Okay, you can actually do translation on the fly. And then there are also other customized model that's actually available in the this ML Kit. The next devices or platform that TensorFlow Lite will support is this Linux-based devices platform or Linux-based IoT devices. Okay. So, for example, you may have a Raspberry Pi or you have a Coral Dev bot. You can actually deploy your AI model onto these devices. So, if you look at one of the examples that TensorFlow Lite is being used is, for example, this EcoVac robot vacuum cleaner. So nowadays, vacuum cleaner is no longer just using a normal sensor, just avoid obstacle or object in your house. You can actually now have a vacuum cleaner that with the camera, you can actually detect what are the object that is recognized and what are the object in the house. Okay, so it's not just avoiding the object. It can actually know what are the object that is actually in front of it, then how to avoid all these objects. Okay, for example, here you can see this object detection is actually seen real time. There are some cables or one of the common problem also when you have a smart vacuum cleaner is when you have a pet at home, like a cat or dog, it actually will disrupt. So, and then object, if the static is fine, but if you have a pet, the pet will move around. So your smart vacuum cleaner will supposed to able to know that this is a pet and then how to avoid the pet or whatever. Okay, so common object like a carpet, pet, or other object at home is actually being trained and then it's actually deployed onto this smart vacuum cleaner, and then you can use this offline without any internet connection. Okay. Besides that, I also want to talk about another product that is actually from Google. So TensorFlow is we know TensorFlow Lite is a software solution. So Google also have a hardware accelerator where we call HDPU. So how do we improve this processing time of all these small devices without using the high processing power from the CPU side? So we have something what we call HDPU, where you can actually run the TensorFlow Lite model faster on your IoT devices. So one of the HDPU that available at different form factor is under this Coral brand. So for example, we have a small devices like this, which is a smaller than 1 cent coin. And then here it's actually customized kind of a board where it actually can run a TensorFlow model at a higher processing time. Okay, so Coral product has been launched 2 years ago in March 2019. Now it's available all over 36 countries through various distribution partners. So you can actually deploy all this model at this HDPU, which is Coral Dev Bot. which is actually basically a mini computer, which the ARM CPU chip, and it actually run on the Linux operating system. You also can use this Linux, this Coral USB accelerator. So you have a USB kind of accelerator where you can actually plug in onto your machine, okay? And then you can actually run this accessory will actually allow you to run HTPU and bring your machine learning inferencing faster to existing system, okay? So sometimes you can have a model to run on the production. You can have a different form factor. So you can see there are many different form factors available under this Coral product brand, and it actually help to run all this TensorFlow-like model at a higher processing time. Okay, so you can see there are DevBot Mini being prototyped, and then there are other production like this HTTP model. Okay, and then you have some PCI card where you can actually plug in onto your computer, where it's actually improved the processing time without using the TPU at the server side or GPU at the server side. So you can see that one HTPU can actually give you up to 64 top inferences performance, and it actually use quite a low power, which is about 40 watt peak power. Okay, the last platform that TensorFlow Lite will support is actually all this microcontroller, which is a Arduino board. Okay, so what is a microcontroller? So basically, it's a small computer on a single circuit. There's no operating system. It's actually bare metal. Okay, it's actually very small kind of storage. You only have like tens of a kilobyte of RAM or flash. It only have a CPU, memory, and some I/O peripheral. It runs on very low power. Sometimes it just runs on small battery, and it's always on. Okay, so this sometimes is also DSP, digital signal processor, where it's actually specialized to process certain audio, certain visual. So when you have devices which has so low power, such small, okay, how can you run a TensorFlow model with them onto all these devices? Okay, so what's the best way to run all these machine learning AI model onto all these devices? So with TensorFlow Lite, it's actually allow you to run to have a model to be trained and then compressed at a very small size and actually run on these devices. Okay, so I think most of us are using Android phone or iOS devices. We find that all this hot word detection is quite efficient now. You can just use a phone and just call Hey Google or Hey Siri, and the hot word, even if you have even a smart home speaker, it actually detect your voice and actually detect your voice and wake up, okay, with your voice command. And then you can see all this hot word detection actually can work without any internet connection, and then it actually wake up very fast. So that's where you have a small chip that actually inside your phone that actually pick up all these hot word devices, and they wake up at a very fast speed. Okay, so TensorFlow actually make the embedded AI now easy for developer. So let's say you are a TensorFlow developer, you already been developing AI solution using TensorFlow. You can now just repack into your TensorFlow into TensorFlow Lite using the TensorFlow Lite framework, and then you can deploy in multiple devices, different run a model in different devices with the same tool and framework that you have been using from the beginning during the TensorFlow time. So that for developer, the good thing is you have the same tools, same framework. Then you do not need to manually build all your model, and then you have all the hardware level optimization already done for you. So there are a lot of devices out there that is has the hardware that's optimized the performance. So there are many industry leaders, for example, in the ARM, which is actually industry leader for the embedded market, that's actually adopted TensorFlow as an official solution for AI. Then there are ARM microcontroller, for example, Cadence, Knowledge, Synopsys. These are all the microcontroller that actually optimize the model for TensorFlow framework. So how to get started? You can actually go and look out all these official Arduino library, and then you can actually run your code directly in the desktop or the web IDE, and then you can actually run onto your Arduino hardware. For example, you can actually look at as one example, you can actually do a speech detection in 5 minutes. You can actually run your speech detection in 5 minutes, then you can actually try out the TensorFlow-like framework. Okay, so TensorFlow-like is actually optimized for edge devices. Basically, how do we do it? Okay, how do we optimize the machine learning model to be able to deploy at edge devices? So basically what we do is we make the model smaller and faster. Okay, so optimization is important because we know edge devices, they are limited computing power, they are limited memory, they are having a very small, you want to limit the battery consumption because sometimes they are running on the battery, they are put at a very remote location, IoT devices. You cannot have a model that drain up the battery very fast. And then you need to have a model that actually run a very, very small size. So based on all these constraints, you must have a model to be able to be trained and deploy, and then based on all these constraints, your model still acceptable and still produce good result. Okay, so one of the methods that people will do is you have a optimized model where the model is optimized for mobile architecture. Okay, and then what the second thing what we do is we apply quantization. I'll explain later what's quantization, and then we apply pruning. Okay, then lastly is we'll use whatever hardware accelerator out there, okay, to improve the performance. So let's look at the first one, model architecture. So if you look at the model architecture, this is if you are familiar with deep learning framework architecture. So we Inception version 4. So if you talk about the accuracy, you actually can achieve about 95% accuracy. So this red color here, is actually a model that's actually trained for normal hardware architecture. But if you have a TensorFlow-like, you can actually retrain your model into for mobile devices. Okay, of course you can see the accuracy will drop a bit because you make your file size smaller. Will actually run, but the difference is only 6% in terms of top 1 accuracy. In terms of top 5 accuracy, the difference is only 3%. But what's the difference when you run on the TensorFlow-like latency? Before that was 320 milliseconds. Now the latency is only 8.58 milliseconds. That means you actually improved 37 times faster. And another thing is you look at the model size, it's 170 megabyte here, and then now you're able to compress it into a smaller file, which is about 8 times smaller. So if you look at the comparison, you can see the comparison here that the difference between the accuracy between the normal model and the mobile net model is not so far ahead. Okay, it still achieve a reasonably good result. Then the second method that is called quantization. So basically, quantization is when you build a model, you train a model. Basically, you use the 32-bit float type, okay, to store all your model with. Okay. However, when you use the inference, okay, if you use this 32-bit float, okay, you can actually approximate it down to 8-bit. Then the model. So for example, here. We can actually, what we try to do is we can actually reduce the number of bits that we use, but you can still achieve a certain good result. So the quantization basically is to reduce number of bits for the model weight activation. Then you can actually shrink down the size to represent the amount of data size to represent your the weight and your activation in your training model. So normally once you use your quantization, your model will become 4 times smaller and run faster. Okay, so if you look at here, okay, this is the baseline. Okay, if you do quantization, you can see the accuracy actually dropped not so much. The difference is not so much, but the accuracy doesn't change so much. But you actually reduce the amount of data that you actually require. Then you will reduce the model file size. The third step is how do we you do pruning. So you know that when we talk about machine learning, we talk about deep learning, you talk about all this neural network. Okay, so neural network, if you talk about deep learning, the network, you have many layers. The more layers, the more calculation you have to do. Okay, so what you do by pruning is you can try to reduce some of the layers. Okay, or try to drop some of the layers. So when you drop some of the layers, then the amount of data that you need to calculate also will be lesser. The model file size also be smaller. So you try to shrink the model, okay, by reducing number of layers. That's called pruning. So what's the benefit of doing pruning? So you have a model smaller, okay, and then your model also runs faster because you have a smaller file, reduce the number of layers, and then you have smaller model, so your model can run faster. Okay, so you might say, if I reduce the number of layers, what will happen to my accuracy? Okay, so the accuracy is actually, you can see smaller accuracy, but you can see the result is actually 89 compared to 70. It is 69. This is so you see the accuracy actually doesn't drop so much. Okay, it's quite negligible if you talk about that. So you can still have a model with a smaller file size without sacrificing the accuracy. The last thing that for mobile devices you will have is what we call, you can optimize for your hardware accelerator. So this is a normal CPU using your normal computer. The normal processing time will about 37 milliseconds, and then the latency is about 37 milliseconds. So if you use a better CPU with a quantized, you improve to 13 milliseconds latency. Of course, if you have a high GPU, the latency is 7 milliseconds. But then if you have an HTPU, okay, remember all this, the sound of this microcontroller board which optimized, you can see the latency is 3.2 milliseconds, even better than your GPU. And then if you use all these specialized microcontroller like Hexagon, you can see the latency about 2.8 milliseconds. It's even faster than your CPU. So you can see now with all these devices, even though the size is smaller, okay, but with all this optimized hardware accelerator, okay, you can see the performance is actually comparable or even better than your GPU or CPU. So there are many ways to get started. You can actually get all your pre-trained model. So instead of train all the model from the beginning, get all the data, you can actually look at all the model available in the TensorFlow-like website. Okay, there is also a TensorFlow-like hub where there's like a GitHub where all the model is being shared out there with all the codes. Okay, and then there's something compiled by another GDE, Margaret. She is a GDE in machine learning. So she actually compiled all the TensorFlow-like example, which is called Awesome. From here, you can actually learn get all the code model sample tutorial for all the code where you can actually utilize the ML Kit, Coral Edge GPU, or Raspberry Pi, or for microcontroller. Okay, so what are things that you can do? You can do image segmentation. For example, here, if you try to reduce this two lady, you can detect that this two lady is the foreground, and then this all the other background. So you can actually detect, and then you can segment out. Then you can actually remove this background, remove this person from this image here. Okay, image segmentation is one of the models library that's available in the TensorFlow website. Okay. Then you can do, like, for example, here you can actually straight away have a bokeh effect. So I think these are things that you can actually see at most video conferencing application now. Okay, for example, you run a Google Meet or you run Zoom now or Microsoft Teams, straight away you can actually apply the filter, can actually blur your background. So those are another example that you can actually run all this detection of you as a foreground, and then what's the background, and then blur the background so that you can actually apply bokeh effect. Here, similar things, you can actually detect the foreground, and then you can actually replace your background. Okay, it's the same thing that you can actually see at the most common video conferencing software now. You can apply different background during the video call. This is also done with using AI model, where you can actually detect the foreground and background, and then you will replace the background with the wallpaper. Okay, so lastly is just give you an example how to train a model using Cloud AutoML. So let's say you are a Google Cloud user. Okay, you can actually train your model using Google Cloud, the Google Cloud AutoML. So Google Cloud, it has a service called AutoML Vision Edge Detection. So what you can do is, all you need to do is prepare your training data. As we know, whether you're doing machine learning or you're doing AI, you must have your data. If you don't have the data, then you cannot train your model. So you train then after that, you can utilize the Google Cloud to train your model, and then you can deploy your model in the Google Cloud, okay, using like an API call or what. So for example, here, let's say I want to train my camera to detect different type of flowers. So we know that one prerequisite to train a machine learning model must have a label data. So for example, here you have all the picture here, image picture, then you label them. So this is a rose, daisy, tulip, okay, sunflower. Okay, so you have your image with label ready. You upload all your images into your Google Cloud. So here, for example, you have 3,667 images, and then you have them labeled. So from here, you can see what are the ratio. So for example, you have around 898 picture of dandelion. Then you have 640 picture of roses. Then 697 picture of sunflower. So after that, what do? Then you actually define your model. Then you say you want to train your model, and then where do you want to host your model? So let's say you want to train your model, and then you say you want to host it at the offline or mobile devices. So what the Google Cloud will do, he'll know that you want the model to be small, okay, and able to later you can able deploy into all these mobile devices or edge devices. Okay, then you can set how much of optimization you want to do. Okay, you want to achieve a very high accuracy. Of course, when you want to achieve a high accuracy, usually the model file will be slightly larger. Okay, and then you have a higher latency. Let's say you do not want to have a high accuracy, then you can actually have a trade-off. Then you say I can have a lower latency, so you can reduce the file size. Accuracy is only medium, but then you reduce the latency also. So latency you can reduce by half. The file size also reduced by half. Of course, if your device is very, very small, but what you care is just fast prediction, then you can even go further for faster prediction. Then your file size is very, very small, about only 0.6 megabyte, but the accuracy is low, but the latency is also very low. Okay, then you can train your model. So after you train the model, then you can actually deploy the model. Okay, so what you do is now you can actually export. Once you train your model, then you can export your model as a TensorFlow-like package. So once you have a TensorFlow-like package, then you can actually deploy into your mobile app. Okay, so for example, here you can just if you are a Kotlin developer or you can actually insert the code into your you can insert your code into your Android Studio or use a Kotlin. So what are the supported use cases? For example, here you can able to detect banana at 98.82%. Okay, then here even got multiple object, you're able to detect the object apple. Okay, and then able to also detect hat. Okay, so you can see you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Here got 7 apples. You have 7 apples, and then you also can detect the hat. Okay, so object detection can be done. Image classification also can be done. Okay, so I think that's the end of my talk. So I thought Jesselyn said I activated Google Home several times. Okay, let me try again. Hey Google. Okay, so you can find out more. You can find out more about TensorFlow at this website, tensorflow.org /like. You can learn more about that. Okay, if you have more questions, you can follow me in Twitter. You can ask me a question on Twitter also. Yep, that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you. So we have a few questions from Sindrosa, and Sindrosa says, I'm very interested on deploying Coral on edge inspection machine. And the question is, how common is the use case for converting Onyx to TensorFlow Lite?
Actually, the conversion from TensorFlow framework to TensorFlow Lite is quite common, but Onyx, I'm not very sure about that. I need to look at it. Usually, the conversion from a TensorFlow trained model, the bug is lesser to TensorFlow Lite, but I'm not sure about the converting from Onyx to TensorFlow Lite. I've not tried it yet. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And there's another question. So can you use knowledge distillation to close the accuracy gap between a big or a small model?
You can, but you have to do it at the TensorFlow the model side. You usually the TensorFlow Lite, there's no more optimization that you can do. You need to do train and then optimize it at the TensorFlow framework side, not the TensorFlow Lite side. the testable light site usually is just repackaged into a on devices application. Then you just deploy. Not much of things that you actually can do at the testable light site.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I think that's all the questions we have from the comments. So thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us today. Thank you. Yeah. So that will be it for today. Thank you so much for joining us on a Saturday morning. Yeah. So
You want to take a group photo or whatever?
yeah. Just a second. I was about to move everyone in. Okay. Oh wait, there's one more question. Wait, let me. Okay, does Cloud ML provide knowledge distillation service?
I think so. I'm not sure because a long time I never touched Google Cloud already. There is a lot of improvement nowadays. You should go and check it out. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that will be it. Thanks for the question. Since you mentioned we ought to take a group photo, right? So how will we do this?
Just print screen.
Okay, someone want to help print screen? Jesselyn? Okay, wait, let me just print screen. Let me just put a timer. Entire screen capture in 5 seconds. Wait. wait. Shit. wait, sorry. Just let me just enable again. Okay. Yay, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
that will be all. Thank you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for organizing.
Thanks for organizing.
We'll see you next time. Okay, bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.